Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you all? I hope you all are fine with the grace of Almighty Allah. So now today we are going to discuss about chapter number 3. So chapter 2 we have done I think 2 or 3 activities, and today we will discuss about chapter number 3, scaling network, chapter number 3. So in chapter number 3 it's a very lengthy chapter, but I try to focus on few of the things which are very important. Okay, so if your concept is clear for those concepts which I am going to discuss today, so hope so the rest of the things you can easily grasp. Okay, so the first thing in the spanning tree protocol concept: build a simple switch network with redundant link. So explain a common problem in a redundant switch network. So I will also build a simple switch network topology using STP, and I will show you some of the how you can troubleshoot the issue and how the spanning tree work. Okay, so we will take some simple topology, and I will explain to you the redundant link and the concept of STP. Okay, now these are the the variant of the spanning tree. Explain how different variant of spanning tree protocols operate. So we have a different spanning tree protocol. We have PVST, rapid PVST, and so on and so forth, different spanning tree variants. And this is the last session. We will configure PVST and rapid PVST in the switch LAN environment, and rapid PVST also configuration, and at the end we try to analyze a common STP configuration issue. Okay, now let's start the STP operation. So STP operation: redundancy at OSI layer 1 and layer 2, because we are talking about the redundant LAN network. So if we have a switch network and it has a redundant path, so these redundant path link between the two devices. Suppose, see here, if you will see PC1 to PC4, you have a different path to reach to the PC4. The one path you can see, this is the path you can reach to the PC4, and this path it can also take to reach to PC4. So this redundant path is very useful, and it is very beneficial because redundant path eliminate a single point of failure. Okay, so the single point of failure in order to improve the reliability and availability of your network. So because of that one, we are adding a redundant link and redundant devices. The second thing is redundant path. It will also cause a problem because it's a layer 2. It can create a layer 2 loops. If you will see here, if any Ethernet frame will traverse or transported on this link, so it can continuously revolve in the network, so it can also create a loop. So today we will see how the spanning tree will eliminate this type of problem, because definitely there is a problem and we need to sort out that issue. So spanning tree is a layer 2 protocol that help especially when there is a redundant link. Okay, so to avoid the loop. Okay, so who will avoid the loop? The spanning tree protocol. So if I ask you what are the layer 2 loop issues, so what you will say, layer 2 loop issues, because there is a, if you have a redundant link, what are the layer 2 loop issues in the redundant link? The first thing is MAC address instability, broadcast storm, multi-frame transmission. So we will discuss in detail one by one. So let's discuss the MAC address instability. MAC address copy of the same frame being received on the different port. Broadcast storm are broadcast are flooded endlessly, causing a network disruption. And multiple copy of the unicast frame delivered to the same destination. So let's discuss one by one in detail. So first we will take MAC database instability. So MAC database instability, as we know, in Ethernet frame we don't have the time to live field. See, in a packet in layer 3 we have a TTL, and once the TTL will expire, the packet will be discarded or it will be destroyed from the network. it will be eliminated from the network. But in the Ethernet frame, in the layer 2, we don't have a TTL field. Okay, so like layer 3 header has, this mean the Ethernet has no mechanism to drop the frame that propagate endlessly. This can result a MAC database instability. Suppose if we will see here, PC1 send a broadcast message to switch 2. Okay, what will do? Switch 2, what it will do, what this switch 2 will do? Switch 2 update the MAC address table for PC1 MAC address on port number 11. So it will learn the MAC address of this PC1 from this port number 11, and it will store in the MAC table of switch 2. So then switch 2 forward the frame out all the port except the port frame came in on. Okay, so then the switch 2, it will forward this frame to on this link. It will forward frame on the same frame on this link, and this link, but except this one. Okay, because it receive this frame from this link. Okay, so switch 1, this is switch 1, and switch 3 receive the frame on a trunk and update their MAC address table that PC1 is reachable through this trunk port. So it will, this PC1C, it will be added in the MAC table. PC1 is accessible through this FA01, and this switch 3 will also update its MAC table, and it will enter in the MAC table. PC1 is accessible through this port. So when switch 1 and switch 3 send the frame out all the port except the port it come in, so it will, what it will do, this switch, suppose the switch 3, it will forward this frame on this link, and this will also forward this frame on this link and this link. Did you get me? So when switch 1 send the frame out of port 2, see trunk port, this is the port 2, mean this port 2 FA02 trunk number 3. So switch 3 update the MAC address table to reflect the PC1 is now reachable through this port FA01. So it will get confused because abruptly this MAC address will be changed. Before it add FA02 in the MAC table, because the PC1 is accessible through FA02, once it receive this frame, so this Ethernet frame, so now it update. Okay, now PC1 is accessible through this FA01. So it means it will constantly change the MAC address table of switch 3 as well as switch 1 as well, because now, because this also send a packet, sorry, the Ethernet frame to switch 1 through this interface it receive. So now it will update PC1 is accessible through FA02. So it will create a MAC database instability. So this is the problem. This is the first problem. The layer 2 redundant network cause these issues. So how we can sort out this issue? Only the problem can be sorted out with the spanning tree protocol. So I will tell you how later. So let me discuss the second issue, the broadcast storm. So broadcast storm, as we know, so many broadcast storm mean you are sending so many broadcast frame on the layer 2 loop that use all available bandwidth and make the network unreachable for legitimate network traffic. So it will cause, this broadcast storm will cause the denial of services, because your network will not be accessible or not reachable for even for your legitimate traffic, and it can develop in a second and bring the network down. So totally the network will be not be available if you have a broadcast storm. And issue with layer 3 is the duplicate unicast. This is the third issue. The first issue was MAC address instability. The second issue is broadcast storm, and the third issue with layer 2 network with redundant network. Layer 2 redundant network is duplicate unicast frame. As I told you before, this when the PC1 send a frame, Ethernet frame to switch 2, what will happen? It send one Ethernet frame on this link, if you will see on this link, and one Ethernet frame on this link, and it will forward. So that frame it will receive here. Then switch 3 also send the same frame here, and this frame will be forwarded this one, and once it will receive a Ethernet frame from this link, it will again forward. It means the duplicate frame is going to be received received by PC4. So it will deliver the same frame again and again to PC4. So this is another issue. So how we can eliminate this issue? If you have a redundant network, the solution is the spanning tree algorithm. Spanning tree algorithm create a one logical path through the switch network, all the destination on the network, and block the redundant path that cause a loop. Suppose this is your network, redundant network. So what it will do, it will block this link and it will send your data or Ethernet frame on the network. So STP send the bridge protocol data unit BPDU between layer 2 device in order to create one logical path, and the port on switch 2 is blocked, so the traffic can only flow one way between any two devices, as I told you. So this will be blocked. So when trunk, if this trunk will fail, the block port on switch 2 is unblocked and traffic can flow between switch 2 and switch 3 in a normal way. So once this will be down, so the normal traffic, so this will become unblocked and it will send, so it will send the traffic through this link as well. So it means switch 2 to switch 3, the link will be available. Okay, so now the question can be raised, can be asked, so why this link is being blocked, why not this one? So inshallah in the coming slides I will tell you what is the criteria, so in which criteria we are going to block some of the link, and what is the process here, how to elect the root bridge. So we will explain step by step. Okay, if you will see root bridge, see now we need to discuss about the spanning tree now. Okay, let me take some little bit water because I'm little bit thirsty. So spanning tree algorithm, we have the port role. As I told you, this link is blocked. On what basis it is going to be blocked? Why this link is only blocked? Why not this link can be blocked? So the simple is, so how, first of all we need to select the root bridge. Okay, so we need to select the root bridge. So how we can select the root bridge? Based on three values. Okay, so root bridge is selected on three values: the priority, MAC address, and extended system ID, but I try to focus on priority and MAC address. MAC address. Okay, so which priority value will be selected? Please keep it in your mind. The priority value, which priority value will be selected? The lowest priority value of the switch is selected for the root bridge. And if all the switches have the same priority value, you can see here, if all the switches have the same priority value, then we need to think about the second thing. What is the second element we need to think? That the MAC address. Definitely the MAC address is never be the same for all the network switches, so that can break the tie. Okay, so this is the election process to elect the root bridge. Suppose in this case we have the root bridge here. If this is the root bridge, so the port which are connected with the root bridge we call the designated port. again. So root bridge, so suppose this is the root bridge. I will tell you the way how it is elected. Suppose if it is elected as a root bridge, okay, so if this is the root bridge, so the port which are connected with the root bridge we call designated port, okay. So these two ports we call designated port, okay. So and the second thing is the root port. So this is the root port and this is the root port. The simple thing we can say, not always, but the opposite of designated ports are the root port. Yes, we can say, but not always. What are the root port? The lowest path cast to the root bridge we called the root port. Again, please try to listen and try to write down this definition. This is very important. So how the root port is determined? So the root port is the lowest path cast to the root bridge. So we can say why this is a root port, because this is the lowest path cast to the root bridge. Because of that one, this is a root bridge. So this is the lowest path cast to the root bridge we call root port. So this port is in the blocking. We can say the alternative port, and this is the designated port. So root bridge on the layer 2 device is the switch network. Root port, one port on the switch that has the lowest cost to reach the root bridge we call the root port, and designated port select as per segment, but we can say the always the root bridge always have a designated port. So alternative port, backup port for the designated port when the other side is not a root port. So if this is not a root port, this is not a root port, definitely it will be the alternative port. So backup port for the root port, okay. Now, so we will see this example, okay. So as I told you, the bridge ID. So bridge ID is basically your priority. So bridge ID contain three component: priority, extended system ID, and MAC address. So the bridge ID, first it will see how the root bridge is elected. As I told you, first it will check the priority value. So if the lowest priority always elected as a root bridge, as I told you before. So by default the bridge priority of all the switches is 32768, but it can be changed. You can change the bridge priority of any switch, and you can make any switch as a root switch or root bridge, okay. Root switch and root bridge we say alternative name for the switch, okay. So if you will see this example, okay, so this is the one. If suppose we all the switches have the same priority value, okay, same priority value, the next criteria is the MAC address. So the lowest MAC address will be elected as a root bridge. So two criteria. The first criteria is the priority value. If the priority value of all the switches are same, then we need to think about, then the second thing, it will MAC address, okay. So the MAC address, the lowest MAC address will be elected as a root bridge, okay. Now look at this example, this topology, okay, this diagram. So the priority value is 32769, and switch 1 priority value is 2457, and this the priority value is 32769. So which switch have the lowest priority value? Yes, of course, this switch has the lowest priority value, 2457. This is 32, this is again 32. So it has the lowest priority value. Based on the priority value, so this switch will be elected as a root bridge, okay. Now if we will take some other example, yeah, this is the same thing, how you can select the cost, okay. Now before going to discuss about the cost, what we will say, if the link between two switches is 10 gigabit per second, the the STP cost, the spanning tree cost will be 2, and if the link between the switch is 1 gigabit, the cost will be 4. If it is 100 Mbps fast Ethernet, the cost will be 19. If it is 10 Mbps, the cost will be 100. Okay, so look at this example based on this table. What we will see, so if you will see this switch 2, okay, switch 2, which link will be which link will be the root port, which link will be the designated port, and which link will be the alternative port, if we will see. Okay, so if you will see this example, yeah, this is the one. So on what basis this alternative port is elected, mean why we need to block, why the switch block only this port, not this one, based on the path cost. So now if you will see here, based on the path cost, see switch 2, if you will take this example, okay, and if PC1 will send Ethernet frame to PC4, so which path will be, because this is the root bridge, which path will be selected, which path will be selected, this path will be selected to reach to PC4, or this path will be selected. So definitely one port will be the blocking port. So what we will do, see, this is 19, this is 19, okay, so how much it become? 38. The cost of this link is 19, cost of this link is again 19, 19 plus 19, it become 38. So it has more cost, so this path will never be followed, because it has a lowest cost to reach to the PC4. So this path is 19, so it has a lowest path cost value, spanning tree path cost value. So this path will be elected to reach to PC4. So this will be in the blocking state. Okay, now we will take some other example, and we will do some sort of spanning tree. We will do, I try to explain you in detail. Okay, so how I can explain you in detail, let me take some example here. Okay, now this is the one, suppose, okay, so 1 minute, control 1 minute, let me, okay, so now it's little bit big now. So now let me arrange a little bit more. Okay, now if you will see, suppose you have this network topology, okay, network diagram, which switch, this is switch 0, switch 1, and switch 2. So first of all, I would like to ask you, so which switch will be elected or selected as a root bridge? Please write your comments in the videos below, so I can see your answer. I will reply your answer as well. So suppose you have the priority value 32768, this switch also 32768, and this switch also 32768. It means all three switches have the same priority value. So it means, so if it is same, if it is same, then definitely the priority value of three switches are same. Okay, so now what is the next criteria to elect as a root bridge, your root switch? The second is MAC. So just you need to check the MAC address. Okay, so which one of the switch has the lowest MAC address? Which one of the switch has the lowest MAC address? Okay, we will see from here. Let's compare from here. If you will see 00 EE0, switch 0. Okay, now if we will see EE0, these letters all are same, but here EE00 D0. So it means D in a decimal in a hexadecimal notation. Okay, so D has the lowest value, D0, E, it will come, mean it's a the higher value. Okay, if you will know the hexadecimal notation, so D is the lowest one. Okay, so this switch 2 has a lowest MAC address. If you will see this one, it has a lowest MAC address. Okay, so based on first criteria, yes, all have the same priority value, but the second criteria break the tie, and this switch 2 elected as a root switch. Okay, so I will say root switch. Okay, RS, root switch. Okay, so I don't have the this one, I am going to write with the my mouse. Okay, so root switch. Then what will happen now? Now we need to make which port will be the designated port, which one will be the alternative port, and which one will be the root port. So the port which are connected directly with the root switch we call designated port. So I will say designated port DP. Okay, so designated port, so this one we will call designated port DP. So this one selected and this one, both are designated port. Okay, so these both port are designated port. Okay, now the problem for the designated port for the switch 1 is confirmed. Now we sorted out this issue. Now which one will be the root port? So how many root port we have here? As I told you, the lowest path cost to the root bridge we called the root port. Okay, the cost. First we will see what is the cost of gigabit 02. If you will see, if you will go to the slides and you will see here, where it is, yeah, just let me show you. Yeah, this is the one. Let me copy and I will paste it there, and it will help you out. Okay, see here. Now if you will see 10 gigabit link, sorry, Control Z, Control V. See, so the link, if it is 1 gigabit, the cost will be 4. Okay, so the cost, how much is the cost for this link? Is it is, sorry, let me take the pen. Okay, so what is the cost of the link? This is 4. Okay, what is the cost of the link here? Gigabit, because the link between the switch 1 and switch 0 is again gigabit, and the cost is 4. So the cost is 4. Okay, suppose the cost is 4. Okay, and this is fast Ethernet FA01, and the cost is, what is the cost here? If you will see, this is the cost. Okay, the cost is 19. Okay, so the cost is 19. So the cost is 19. So if you will see here, the link, how we can select the root port. So the lowest path cost to the root bridge. So lowest cost path. If you will see this port, so the cost, if you have this switch, so to reach to the root port, it is 4 through this link. If you will see, the cost is 4, and if it will reach to the root switch, so the cost from 4 plus 19, it becomes 23. So 23, if going through switch 1 to switch 0 to switch 1 to switch root switch switch 2, so my cost will be 23. So this is not a sensible decision. So but in this case I am directly connected here with the root switch with the cost of 4. So no question, my gigabit 02 will be the root port. So this will be the root port. Okay, so this will be the root port, because this is the lowest path cost. Okay, this is the root port. Now this is the root port. Now the second thing is, if we will see, this will be the now we need to check gigabit 02 and gigabit 0 FA01. Okay, so gigabit 02. So if we will send a packet from switch 1, switch 0 and switch to the root switch, because what I said, which one will be the root port? So the lowest path cost to reach to the root bridge we call the root port. Okay, so if we will see if this switch, how which path or link has the lowest cost, if we will see this one 4 and this link 4 plus 4 is 8, still it is okay. So this is 8, and from this link, directly connected link, if you will see to the root switch, it is 19. So 19 is bigger than 8. So this port gigabit 02 will be the root port for this switch. Did you get me now? And how we can elect the designated port? As I told you, designated port, the port which are connected with the root bridge is called designated port. So we will simply say the port which are directly connected with the designated port, we call the root designated port. So this port become a designated port. So this port we will say designated port. Okay, so this port is a designated port. Now the last one, this will be the alternative port, ALT, alternative port or blocking port. Okay, so this will be the alternative port. Okay, so this will be the alternative port. So this is the way you can select the root bridge and the root port. Okay, so all the concept, I hope so it is clear now. So now we will go to the next slide, and okay, so now we can go to this packet tracer activity, and we try to examine a redundant design. Okay, so we have three core layer, distribution layer and access layer. We try to examine the link. Okay, if you will see here, because there are so many links, suppose PC1 to PC6, there are so many redundant links to reach to PC6, if you will see here. But some of the links, it is in the amber, mean the orange in color. If you will see amber color or orange color, you can say anything. So those link, it is in the alternative. We say these are the alternative port, mean the blocking port. So this is the green color link. It mean it is working fine, and the link is available, mean the data can flow through this link. You can see. So but these are the blocking link, because there are so many links, so many redundant links from PC1 to PC6 are available to reach to the destination. So let's start this activity, and we try to examine this one. And let me open. Yeah, this is the one, and now we can read the step carefully. Please try to open this activity 3.1.1.5, and we can complete this activity step by step, and you will not face any issue. So let me also use the magnifier. At least you can see. Okay, now you can see here activity. In this activity, you will observe the spanning tree operates, observe how STP operate by default and how it reach, so how it react when fault occur. Okay, so let me read. So I hope so you have the activity, and you can open the activity, and we can complete this one. Okay, now in this activity you will observe how STP operate by default and how it react when the fault occur. Switch have been added to the network out of box. Cisco switches can be connected to a network without any additional action required by the network administrator. For the purpose of this activity, the bridge priority was modified. So part 1, check the STP convergence. So what we need to do, we need to check the STP convergence, and when the STP is fully converged, the following condition exists. All PC have a green link light on the switch network. Yes, green link, you can see here all switches and the PCs, they have the green link. Okay, so access layer switches have one forwarded uplink green link, so definitely there will be a one uplink. These are the access switches, they have at least one link. It is called green link. That uplink means the forwarded link must be a green link. Okay, it should be must be a green. So to distribute the distribution layer switch, because this is a distribution layer switch, and block uplink amber link. So this will be the block link is represented with amber color, the orange color you can see. So to a second distribution layer, the distribution layer switches have one forwarded uplink mean green link to the core layer switch, and blocking uplink amber link to the another core layer. The same with the core layer, also one link is green mean it is forwarding, and this is blocking to the core layer. Okay, so examine the ARP process. Switch to simulation mode. So step 1, what we need to do, we need to switch to the simulation mode. Ping from PC1 to PC6 so we need to ping from PC1 to PC6 and use the add simple PDU tool to create a PDU from PC1 to PC6 and verify the ARP and ICMP are selected in the event list. Filter capture forward to examine the ARP process as a switch network. Learn the MAC address of PC1 and PC6. Notice that all possible loops are stopped by blocking port. For example, ARP request from PC1 travel from A1 to D2 to PC1 to D1 and then back to A1. However, because the STPE is blocking the link between A1 and D1, no loop occur. Now what we will do, first I will try to convert to the simulation mode. Okay, so you can see here ARP or ICMP is selected, filter is already selected. Okay, now if we try to send a BPDU, the packet, simple packet from here to here, you will see. Now we try to play. See, it is broadcasting because once it will receive, it will send to all, but you see PC6 only accept now unicast frame, because all the switches, they learn the MAC address of PC1, so they knows which path need to be followed. You can see now this is the link from PC1, so A1 to D2 and D2 to C1 and C1 to D3 and D3 to A6 and A6 to PC6. You can see it follow this path. Okay, now if you will see again, it will continue because we are sending packet. So now what is the second step? We need to check the second step. Okay, so notice that the ARP reply from PC6 traverse back along one path. Why? Because STP blocking the redundant link, because it is PC6 traverse back along one path, because STP, what it is do, because the STP blocking the redundant link, it is not going through this link, it is not going to this link because it is traversing through this one. Okay, so 1 minute. So now what is the second thing? Wait. Okay, now let me close. Okay, Now the second thing is record the loop free path between PC1 and PC6. We already recorded, as I told you, it follow this path, so you need to write down which path it followed. Okay, like this one, this one, this one, and this one. So you need to write the loop free path between PC1 and PC6. Okay, so examine the OR process again. Below scenario 0 drop down list, click new scenario 1. Examine the OR process again by pinging between two different PCs. Okay, so event list. Okay, now this is simulation mode, real-time mode. Okay, and if you will ping from PC1 to PC5, again you will see simulation mode, and from this PC to PC5, again you can see it is going to be forwarded to all, but once it will receive to PC5, you can see it is sending a unicast frame. Yeah, if you need to record, you will see yes. Now step number 3. So in the step number 3, examine the OR process again. Below scenario 0 drop down list, click new to the create scenario 1 and examine the OR process again by pinging a different between two different PCs. Okay, so we will see what part of the path changed from the last set of the ping. Okay, so last time we ping from PC1 to PC6, this time we try to ping from PC1 to PC5 or PC4. You will see the change. Okay, so now I think better we can ping to PC4. Okay, now here we will go to the new. Now scenario 1, this was the instruction, and the second thing was we need to ping from PC1 to PC4. So you will see the change process PC4. Okay, suppose PC4. Now you will see play. Now again you can see it is going to D2 and broadcast to all the port. Now PC4 it will accept. Now PC4, see D3, so D3 to C1, C1 to D2, D2 to A1, A1 to PC1. If you will see now you will see PC1 to, it will follow this A1. Okay, A1 to D2, D2 to C1, C1 to D3, D3 to A4, and A4 to PC4. So it follow this path, you can see. So now you need to write down this is the path it is going to be followed. Okay, now this one let me close. So the second thing, part number 3, test. Okay, what part? So we answer this question. Now part 3, test redundancy in the switch network. So delete the link between A1 and D2. So we need to delete a link between A1 to D2. Okay, so this link, it is active link and data can be flow, but this link is not active, it is in a blocking port. Okay, this is in a block. Okay, so once this one we will delete, you will see the behavior of this link. Okay, so it become active. Okay, now you will see I'm going to delete this one. Okay, so let me delete this link. I'm going to delete this link A1 to this one. Okay, the link is deleted, so it will take some little bit time. Let me fast forward. Okay, so buffer full, clear event. Okay, delete everything. Now you can see the link between, so once we delete the link between A1 to D2, so this link become unblock. Okay, you can see now it is unblock. So now the second thing is we have deleted the link. So fast forward and STP convergence, it took the STP convergence and become this. Now ping from PC1 to PC6. Now we need to ping and check the path now. Okay, before what was the path, and now you can see which path it is going to be followed. Okay, so now let me take the packet from PC1 and ping to PC6. You will see now, fast forward, you can see now it's going broadcast to everyone. You can see now PC6 to D3, D3 to C1, C1 to D1, D1 to A1 and A4. So this is the path now it is going to be followed. You can see. So now let me delete, because buffer always get full. So because of this is the latest version of the packet tracer, sometime it is, you know, sometime it is creating some problem. So you have seen what is the difference between we tested before and now we tested from PC1 to PC6. So I hope you understood the concept, because once we delete a link from this switch to this switch, A1 to D2, so this link before it was an active link, and now the link, let me close. So now this link we have deleted. Now this blocking link, alternative link, as we have seen, so this link become the active, so this get green, and now the packet is going to be now forward from this link to this link and reach to the PC6. Okay, now come to the next one. So if you will see here, so we have record a new loop path. Yes, we have recorded. Now what is the delete? A link between C1 and D3. So now we need to delete a link between C1. So where is the C1? This is the C1. Okay, and D3. So C1 to D3. So this is the link. I think we need to delete this link, C1 to D3. So this link we need to delete. Okay, so the other link must be active. So C1 to D3. So C1 to D3, let me delete this link. Okay, now you can see now it has only two links available, okay, to forward the path. Okay, so we have deleted this link, if you will see. So switch to real-time mode. Notice that the link between D3 and D4 to D3 and D4, D3, this is D3 and this is D4 to C2 C2 or Ember. You can see now it is become Ember, the link between this one and this one, it become Ember. And delete the link between C1 and D3. So we have deleted the link C1 and D3. So it takes some time for the STP to convergence and establish a new loop free path. Watch the Ember link on D3 and D4. So D3 and D4, now you can watch this link, now it become active. So you can click fast forward, and what link is now the active link for the C2? If you will see here, what is the active link for C2? So if we will fast forward, let me again double check. So fast forward, okay, clear event list. Okay, now you can see this is the link, the STP convergence. You can see after the STP has been converged, you can see C2 to D3, this link is available. Okay, okay, now let me go to the next point. So delete, we have deleted. Now step number 4, ping between PC1 and PC6. Okay, now we are in step number 4, ping. So PC1 and PC6. Again, now you need to ping from PC1 to PC6. Okay, now you will see, you can see again broadcast to all. Now you will see A6 to D4, you can see the path, D4 to directly C1 and C1 to D1 and D1 to A1 and A1 to PC1, you can see. So this is the path it has been followed now. So you can check the difference between the first one, the second, and now. So you will feel the difference by yourself which path it has been followed. Okay, now you need to delete a D4. So switch to the real. Notice that A4, A5 and A6 are forwarding a traffic to D4. So we need to delete a D4. It took some time, D4, so we will delete this one. Okay, D4. Let me delete the D4. You will see it takes some time for the convergence. Now I have deleted D4. Now the new path is going to be recalculated, and the meantime let me read the instruction further. So it takes some time for the STP to convergence and establish a new loop free path. Watch for the link between A4, A5, A4, A5 and A6 to D3, and transit to the forward green. All three switches should now be forwarding to D3. So now it is going to be forwarded, all three switches. So let me, you can see here, now you can see all three switches now forwarding to D3. Okay, so this is the difference, I think. And ping between PC1 and PC6. If you will ping now PC1 to PC6, you will find the difference now. See, forwarding C2. Wait, let it to be learn the MAC address. See, A6, A6 to D3, D3 to C2, and C2 to C1, and C1 to D1, and D1 to A1, and this is the one. See, so it follow this path to A6. See, now every time we are deleting some of the item in our network, and it is giving a different result. See, so we ping PC1 to PC6 and record the new loop free path. As we have seen, what is the unique about the new path that you have sent now? The unique about the new path, you can say no redundant link from C2 to downward. You can see, so there is no redundant link C2 to downward. There is only one link. You can see only one link, so you don't have the redundant link. So this is the unique things we found out. Okay, so delete C1. So we need to delete C1. Okay, switch to real-time mode. Notice that D1, D2 are both forwarding traffic to C1. So we can see here both are forwarding to C1. So what we will do, we will delete C1. You see here, now we have deleted C1. So what it is going to do, so delete C1. So notice that D1 and D2 are both forwarding traffic to C1. Delete C1. It takes some time for the STP to converge and establish a new loop free path. Watch of the link between D1 and D2, D1 and D2 to C2, and to transit to forwarding green. Once converged, both switches should now be forwarding to C2. So because once it will converge, both switch forward to C2. Okay, because now the STP is recalculating the path, cost path, because now we have deleted the redundant link. Now D1 is also forwarding to C2, and D2 is also forwarding to C2. If you will see here, and let clear the list. Yeah, you can see now both are forwarding to C2. Okay, so we have deleted C1. Now ping. Now we need to ping PC1 and PC6. Okay, and record the new loop. So we will ping from PC1 to PC6. Now what is the path it is going to take? So I think it is only one path here, this one, and this one. So you will see the difference by yourself from here to here. If you will see, You can see first it will broadcast to all the port. You can see here C6, now A6, A6 to D3, D3 to C2, C2 to D1, D1 to, okay. So this is the way you can see here. So let it to delete. So there is some, the packet tracer, I think there are some version issues, so sometime it is going to be hanged. So buffer full packet, so I'm going to clear the buffer. So sometime, let me pause the video. Okay, now we will ping from between PC1 and PC6, and you will see the difference. So we need to switch to the simulation mode and create a scenario 5 for PC1 to PC6. Let me create a new scenario. Okay, for 5. Okay, so scenario 5, and we will see the difference. Okay, so you will see the difference and record the new free loop, new loop free path. Okay, so PC1 to PC6, PC1 to PC6, and it is in the simulation mode. Yes, even though if you will close it, there is, so PC1 to PC6. So again, first it will forward to all the port PC1 to PC6. Now PC6, you can see now PC6 to D3, D3 to C2, C2 to D1, and D1 to D1 to A1, A1 and A1 to PC1. So this is the new path. If you will see here, so again I think it get hanged. Wait. So the new path, you can, I think there is some issue with my packet tracer. So what you can do it, so you can complete, I think now the activity is completed now, and these are the things you need to check. Okay, it's before how we can, if we will delete the link, how the other link can be enabled. So we have seen. Okay, so now check this one. So we have completed this activity. So now we can go to the we can continue our rest of the topic. So if you will see here now, how the root switch is selected or elected. So as I told you, based on the priority value and based on the MAC address value. So the lowest priority value always elected as a root switch. If all the switches have the same priority value as we have seen, then it will go to the second criteria. It will check the second criteria, that is the lowest MAC address. So if any switch have the lowest MAC address, that will be elected as a root switch. So when the switch is powered on, it assumes that it is a root bridge. So all the switches, switch 1, switch 3, switch 4, once you will power on first time, they will assume it is a root bridge, and until the BPDUs are sent and STP calculations are performed. As to send out the BPDU and S3 compare it root ID with the BPDU from switch 2, and switch 2 is lower to switch 3, update it into the router ID. So you can see, so switch 1 will also send to switch 3 and switch 2 will also send to switch 3. So it will compare which one of the switch has the lowest router ID. So that will be it will save in their update in the root ID, and based on the lowest priority value or the bridge ID, so it can decide it. So which one is the root switch. Okay, so this is the same process they are going to discuss, but whatever I explained to you. So if you will see here, we have a a different type of spanning tree protocol. If you will see here, initially 1998 802.1d, this was the original STP standard, and spanning tree CST PVST plus. Cisco updated 802.1d. Each VLAN had its own spanning tree instance, yes, and 2004 updated to STP standard 802.1w RSTP, improve the convergence of adding a new role to the port and enhance the BPDU exchange. So Rapid PVST Plus is also a Cisco proprietary. So Cisco enhance of the RSTP using PVST Plus. And 802.1s is MSTP. Multiple VLANs can have a same spanning tree instances. If you will come to this slide, you will see the characteristic of different spanning tree protocol. So if you have the STP, so the standard is 802.1d, so it requires less resources, low resources, and the convergence is also low. So tree calculation, the STP calculation for all the VLANs. Okay, so PVST Cisco proprietary, it's a standard, high resources needed, slow convergence, but for each VLAN have a different instance of spanning tree. So this is STP RSTP type 802.1w. This is a standard, resource needed medium, but convergence time is fast. So all VLAN there is a one instance of RSTP. So Rapid PVST Plus, again this is a Cisco proprietary, resource needed, yes, very high resource needed, convergence is fast, but tree calculation is for per VLAN. MSTP 802.1s, resource needed medium, sometime high, it depends, fast, but per instance of VLAN. So overview of the PVST Plus. Now we will just discuss little bit about PVST. Before going to discuss the PVST, you know the normal spanning tree, it was originally 802.1d. 1d define a common spanning tree. So one spanning tree instance for the switch network, no matter how many VLAN you have, it has all the VLANs, they have only one common instance of spanning tree. So no load sharing, no uplink must block for all VLANs, one uplink must block for all VLANs. Same, suppose this is, they are using a simple STP, so this at one of the link will must be blocked for all VLANs. Okay, so but they have a low CPU utilization because only one instance of the STP is used or calculation purpose. Okay, but PVST, each VLAN has its own spanning tree instance, so one port can be a blocking for one VLAN and forwarding for the other VLAN. If you will see the example here, this link we can say is forwarding port for VLAN 10, but it will block, this link will be a blocking port for VLAN 20. In this case, this link is a forwarding port for the VLAN 20 but blocking for the VLAN 10. Mean different instance of spanning tree is running on this switch, so both link is simultaneously being used. So one link is used to send a traffic for VLAN 10, another link is used to send the traffic for VLAN 20. So this PVST Plus is used for the load sharing, and it can stress the CPU if the large number of VLANs are used. So one port can be a blocking for one VLAN and forwarding for other VLAN. Okay, so PVST Plus, if you will see, we have a different port state. So what are the different port state? See, if you are if any switch you are going to connect a link to the switch from one PC, one switch to another switch, it will go through a different state. The port will go through a different STP state. So what are the different STP state? The port state: blocking, listening, learning, forwarding, and disable. So these are the different port state. So if you are going to connect switch to switch or switch to PC, the port FA02 or gigabit 02, it will go through these different port state. It will go to different port states. Okay, so this is the blocking port, listening port, learning port, and forwarding port. In a blocking port can receive or process the BPDU, and blocking port cannot forward the data frame received on the interface in the blocking port. Okay, if the port is in a blocking state, it cannot forward the data frame received on this interface. Okay, so it cannot forward the data frame switched from another interface, or it cannot learn the MAC address table if it is in the blocking state. So you can see, but the listening state, yes, it can receive the process BPDU, also it cannot forward the data, and it cannot forward the data frame switch from another switch, and it cannot learn the MAC address or if it is in the listening state. Yes, in the learning state it can learn the MAC address, but it can receive the process BPDU, cannot forward the data, and cannot forward the data between the switches. So if you will see here, the forwarding state, because after learning, once the port learn the MAC address and the other detail, then it will go to the forwarding state. In the forwarding state, it can process the BPDU, it can forward the frame received on the interface, and it can also forward the data frame switch from another interface, because in this state it already learned the MAC address. So during the forwarding state of the port, it can also learn the MAC addresses. Okay, in disable, everything is not possible. So these are the different state port state, spanning tree port states. Okay, so extended system ID is also another point we can say to elect as a root switch, but the extended system ID is the VLAN ID. We can say system ID ensure that each switch has a unique bridge ID for each VLAN, and the VLAN number is added to the priority value. Suppose by default, if you have 32768, this is a default value. If you have a VLAN 2, so what is the priority value? If you have a VLAN 2, so it become the priority become 32770, because this 2 value is added into the default value of the default priority value of the switch. Okay, so this priority value can be modified. You can make any value, because you need to select the root bridge. So the root bridge, you can make any switch as a root bridge or the root switch. Okay, so reason to select the particular switch as a root bridge, because the switch is positioned such that most traffic pattern flow toward this particular switch. So you should understand, most of the traffic flow toward this root switch, and switch has a more processing power and better CPU, and switch is easier to access and manage remotely. So based on these reasons, you select a switch as a root bridge switch, so which has a better CPU power and better position, like it has a more processing power and the other parameter as well. Okay, so overview of the rapid PVST. Yes, rapid PVST is convergence time is high. Okay, and the STP recalculation and convergence is quicker in rapid PVST. If you will see the name, rapid mean quicker. So as compared to the PVST, rapid PVST is PVST convergence time is lower. Okay, so it will converge quickly, and it will calculate the STP, recalculate the STP in a quick way and converge quickly. Okay, so Cisco version RSTP, 2 new port type. Here we are using alternative port and backup port. So the independent instance of RSTP run for each VLAN. If it is using a rapid PVST, for each VLAN a different instance of spanning tree is running on the switch. So Cisco features such as uplink fast and backbone fast are not compatible with the switch that run the RSTP. So keep it in your mind, this one. RSTP BPDU we already discussed, and the edge port always we make a port fast command. Okay, so because if you are going to connect some edge port mean connected with the mean to the end devices, so you always make them port fast. Spanning tree configurations, a little bit configuration we can see regarding the spanning tree. If you want to make any switch, suppose switch 1 you want to make it as a primary root switch, so what you need to write, spanning tree for VLAN 1 root primary. So this switch is root primary mean bridge, root bridge for VLAN 1. So just you need to type this command, spanning tree VLAN 1 root primary. So this switch become a root bridge for VLAN 1. The same way, if you want to make any switch as a secondary mean as a backup, so secondary mean if this will fail, if any disaster of if any emergency this will fail, so this become the root, this is a secondary switch. Okay, so spanning tree VLAN 1 root secondary, just type this command, so that switch become a secondary root switch mean the backup root switch. Okay, so you don't need to set the priority. Sometime you can also type this command, spanning tree VLAN 1 priority 24576. So it will, this is the lowest value, default is 32769, 326 I think this was the 32768. 32768 is a default value, and you are making a lowest value, so you can also write this command in order to make a root mean the primary root bridge, so you can make the lowest value. Okay, so you can also give the value instead of root primary and root secondary. But if you will write a root primary, so automatically the priority value will be the lowest priority value will be selected for that switch. Okay, it depends how you are going to configure the spanning tree. Okay, and the port fast and the BPDU we are going to discuss. This is our last topic, then we will go for the configuration for the configuration of PVST. Port fast is used on the port that have the end devices attached, so all those devices we need to make it port fast. Okay, so these port fast, why we will make the port fast, because sometime if it is connected with your DHCP, so mean it will allow the DHCP to work properly and put the port into the forwarding state immediately, so they don't need to wait for the listening, learning. These port will not go through the different spanning tree port states. Okay, as we discussed before, we have a listening state, we have a learning state, then we have a forwarding state, then disable state. These state it will not go through, it will directly jump to the forwarding state. So if you will make this port as a port fast, immediately it will go to the forwarding state. It means we are going to disable the spanning tree here, because it will not go through the spanning tree port state. And the BPDU guard, so you also need to do two things with the end devices. I mean the port which are connected with your end devices like PCs, cameras, servers, or printers. So these all are the end devices. If these ports are connected with the end devices, so what you need to do, so you need to configure port fast as well as BPDU guard. So the BPDU guard is disable the port that has a port fast configure on it, and if a BPDU is received. So because it will, if you will configure the BPDU guard on this one, so you cannot connect this port to another switch because you disable the STP. Okay, so it is recommended to configure the BPDU guard and port fast on the end devices. Okay, the device end devices, the port which are connected with the end devices. So PVST load balancing, you can see here. So this link for two different VLANs, and this link is also for, suppose this link is for VLAN 10, this link is for VLAN 20. Okay, so both links are simultaneously being used, so it can be used for the load balancing as well. So this is the command you can use: spanning tree VLAN 20 root primary switch 3 for it is a primary root the root bridge for VLAN 20, but it is a root secondary, mean the backup switch for we can say the root secondary for VLAN 10. But if you will see, switch 1 is the primary root primary for VLAN 10, but root secondary for VLAN 20. Okay, now if you will see here, we will go to the spanning tree mode. So we can select a different spanning tree mode. Okay, so we have normal PVST mode and rapid PVST mode. If you so these two modes by default is spanning PVST mode is there with all Cisco switches. Okay, if you need to configure the rapid PVST, simply you need to type this command. Okay, so you need to type this command: spanning tree mode rapid PVST. So if you need to configure, this is the commands are there. So this rapid PVST we will configure inshallah